Alright, let's dive into something that's both fascinating and a bit alarming. Have you ever wondered how we can tell if today's weather is actually unusual, or if it's just your imagination? Well, the Reuters Climate Monitor is here to answer that question, and personally, I think it's a game changer. Here's the deal. It shows us in real time where on Earth temperatures are unusually hot or cold by comparing today's conditions with historical norms. But what makes this really interesting is how they define normal. So, how do they figure out what normal used to be? They rely on the ERA5 dataset, which is like a treasure trove of hourly temperature records from the past. What many people don't realize is that this dataset covers roughly 1 million grid squares across the Earth's surface. That's insane. They calculate the typical temperatures for each grid square, for every day of the year, using data from 1961 to 1990. Now, why this period? Well, it's a standard reference used by climate scientists, and it gives us a baseline before things really started to heat up globally. One thing that immediately stands out is the level of detail. They use a 31-day rolling window to smooth out any noise, which means they're not just looking at one day, but a broader context. Here's where it gets tricky and fascinating. The ERA5 data is about 5 days behind real time, so to compare current conditions, they use a forecast model. But here's the catch. These models don't always agree. They can produce slightly different readings for the same conditions. To fix this, they apply a statistical correction, which, in my opinion, is a brilliant way to ensure accuracy. This raises a deeper question. How reliable are our models, and what does it mean when they don't align? It's a reminder that even in science, there's always room for improvement. Now, let's talk about anomalies. The monitor subtracts the historical norm from today's forecast to show how much hotter or colder it is compared to the past. This isn't just about today's weather, it's about understanding trends. For example, if a region is consistently hotter than its historical norm, that's a red flag. What this really suggests is that we're not just experiencing random heat waves, we're seeing a shift in the climate. And that's huge. Another detail I find fascinating is how they calculate regional averages. They don't just take one grid square, they collect data from every square that touches a region, whether it's a continent, country, or even smaller areas like the 9 climate regions in the US. This level of granularity is impressive, but it also highlights how complex climate data can be. If you take a step back and think about it, this isn't just about numbers, it's about understanding how our planet is changing, region by region. What makes this tool even more valuable is the collaboration behind it. They consulted with over 24 climate experts, which, in my opinion, ensures that the methodology is rock solid. It's not just Reuters doing this in a vacuum, it's a collective effort to provide accurate, reliable data. This raises a deeper question. How often do we see this level of collaboration in other fields? And what could we achieve if we applied this approach more widely? Finally, let's talk about why this matters. Climate change isn't just a future problem, it's happening right now, and tools like the Reuters Climate Monitor help us see it in real time. Personally, I think this kind of transparency is crucial. It's not about scaring people. It's about giving them the information they need to understand what's happening. And that, in my opinion, is the first step toward making a difference. So, here's my closing thought. What if every industry had a tool like this? What if we could track inequality, deforestation, or political corruption with the same level of detail and transparency? It's a big what if, but it's worth thinking about. Because if we can measure it, we can manage it. And if we can manage it, maybe, just maybe, we can change it. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below.